Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Cringy Movie Collection Podcast. My name is Raf, I'm your host, and I got a co-host with me.
Hi, I'm Ludovica, and today I met a cat.
Okay, just so you know what the idea of this podcast is, every episode we watch one of the movies that I bought or otherwise acquired as a kid and still have in my collection. So really this is a DVD review podcast, I suppose. And I gotta say, most of the movies in my collection are terrible. And cringy, sorry, we need to be on brand. And so the general idea is we watch the movie and then I get my girlfriend to berate me for my terrible taste.
Oh yes, we haven't said that I'm your girlfriend yet.
What a reveal. It must be shocking.
Tan tan tan.
Yeah. And without further ado, let's get into the podcast.
Okay, so the movie today is Raiders of the Lost Ark, also known as the first Indiana Jones movie.
I figured we could ease into this whole thing by starting with a movie that's generally accepted as a good movie rather than the trash that is in my collection. So we started with this one. It is in my collection, just to be clear, but it's probably one of the best movies in it. So, at least in my opinion. We can differ on that later. So this movie I have, actually I was a big fan of Indiana Jones before I even watched any of the movies because there were some video games, specifically the tie-in game Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, which I played as a kid. There was also Fate of Atlantis, which was a standalone game, but I mostly played the other one. And I was just really into kind of the style of it all.
Your hats.
And the hats, and I in high school I bought a hat, and ever since I've had many hats. By the way, if you slide things around, it will be picked up by the microphone, so maybe...
I'm sliding things around, guys. Now it's an ASMR podcast. Welcome.
And already, the podcast has been hijacked by shenanigans. Because I wasn't allowed to watch movies at my parents' place, I went to my aunt, and she lives in the French-speaking part of Switzerland, and so I watched Indiana Jones in French there. And I loved it, even though I didn't understand what's going on.
When did you buy this?
It was actually a gift from my mom.
Oh.
And she just one day came up with a bunch of DVDs and was like, these DVDs, you want them?
Ooh.
And I was like... What kind of question is that? Of course I want Indiana Jones DVDs, and now I have them. So that's how this specific
plastic
item
thing,
exactly landed in my living room.
So now it's the time for me to tell you what the movie is about. So for sake of full disclosure, today is Wednesday, and we watched this movie on Saturday.
You're ruining the illusion.
Because I'm ruining the illusion because I'm afraid that my memory is gonna fail me.
Okay, so what you're saying is, if we had done this immediately after watching the movie, you would have a perfect recollection of what happens in this movie.
I would have a perfect Ludovica recollection of what happens.
So still
in the movie.
Let the listeners be the judge.
That I have a partial Ludovica recollection of the movie. So this is the synopsis. Indiana Jones is an archaeologist and is also a professor, and is very good at his job. So the CIA contacts him to go and fetch this Covenant.
Ark of the Covenant.
Because apparently his mentor found a very interesting piece of it. So, like, not of the Ark, but it's like a piece that allows you to find it. So he goes, before going to Egypt, that is where the Ark is buried, he goes and fetch his own, his ex-girlfriend, that is also the daughter of the mentor, that has this piece, and her name is Marion. So we have Indiana Jones and Marion going to Egypt. They find the Ark first, because the Nazis are there as well. The Nazis were also in Nepal getting Marion, because they also knew that she has everything.
She does have everything.
So they're in Egypt. They find the Ark before the Nazis, but then the Nazis found them before they can escape the burial site. So they get trapped with snakes, and Indiana Jones hates snakes. But then they find a way to get out, and they follow the Nazis. They kick them out of trucks. They follow them up to an island in the Mediterranean. And here there is a ritual, because the Nazis and the archaeologist, the evil archaeologist, that is French, try to do this ritual to...
So many terrible things. Nazis, evil, French.
Yes. They are gonna try to do this ritual to see the powers of the Ark, and the Ark swallows them, and not Indiana and Marion, because they have their eyes closed. So they go and take the Ark back to the US and gets buried somewhere in a bunker by the CIA, because there are top men on the job. And what I haven't said, all this is that there's many important things. Many important things. In Cairo, a monkey follows them, and they eventually befriend the monkey before knowing that the monkey is handled by a Nazi guy. And the monkey tells their position, but then eventually the Nazis betray the monkey, because they don't care about it being poisoned. Him being poisoned. We know his gender, because he's so happy to see the handler again that he flashes him. But this is another story for another day, and at some point there are pirates, and that's over.
That is the summary. I hope you could follow. I should probably point out that we're going to spoil all the movies we talk about on this podcast. As you probably just noticed, or maybe didn't, because it was, medium coherent. So, let's talk about our opinions of the...
Now, first we have to do an ad break, because I want to do podcasts just because I want to do ads. And I think that we should get MeUndies on board.
Yeah, but we can't do the ad break before we have MeUndies on board.
No, eventually you will find a code in the show notes. But for now, you just have to know. Show notes for this podcast.
Like the description?
No, well, you find this like a shorter description.
You're making all of... None of this is true, by the way.
Notes.
None of this is true. There are no show notes. There is no code.
The show notes would
MeUndies
be
exist, but we're not affiliated.
The show notes will be available on our website.
What website? I didn't know we had a website. Unbelievable. So that's our ad break. We can be back. And we will talk about the Raiders of the Lost Ark movie. What did you think of this movie?
So I like the fact that there is a monkey, and I like the music. I like the theme. The fact that when he's very heroic, he starts ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. It's very nice.
Yeah?
You get so happy.
I like it too, but in this movie in particular, it always kind of sounds like a sound effect. Like they put that in, and it's not organically woven into the music that's playing otherwise. Doesn't bother you?
No, actually, I like it better.
Okay.
But I did feel like the end was a little bit of a letdown.
A letdown?
Yes.
How do you mean?
It just ends a little bit abruptly.
What?
Okay,
how did you imagine it to end?
The Nazis are defeated and they go home.
So they should have not defeated the Nazis. Like,
they spend a lot of time finding this box, and then they just open the box, and the box neutralizes the Nazis.
there's like a big visual effect, and that's it.
Yes, and then the movie's over.
That's true. There's a lot of like spectacular action before this, and then it kind of just does. Here's some light, whatever.
Yeah, so it seems that they kind of like didn't know how to like pull them out of the mess that they got themselves in with the Nazi and everything.
I think this is kind of nice because visually it's still spectacular. They have like the stop motion effect of the melting faces and all. Like, you know, it looks great.
Well, I wasn't looking at the melting faces because I was a bit scared.
Oh, nothing happened. What do you mean? Oh, I didn't look at it, so nothing happened. Oh, okay. There's also been some suggestion that Indiana Jones doesn't do anything in this movie. Like, if he wasn't there, would the exact same thing have happened? You know, would the Nazis have taken the Ark to the island and opened it and died, and then no one would ever have seen the Ark again? Because that's what happens at the end of this movie. So there, you know, there's some suggestion that.
So Indiana Jones is redundant, but he has a nice hat. So
yeah, if anything, the Nazis found the Ark earlier because of Indiana Jones. Because they were looking in the wrong place until he showed up. Anyway, that is a theory that some people have adhered to. I think it
saved Marion, because otherwise the Nazis would go to Nepal, get Marion, kill her, or give it to the French archaeologists as a prize, and she would have known that she had to close her eyes. So
she would have died.
Yeah,
Marion is like an interesting character, because she's like a strong woman, but then if you look at the movie, she's not really accomplishing anything.
She's not a strong woman because she's there like with her bar and everything. She seems like a strong woman. And then she's like, oh, Indiana Jones, you abandoned me. But then I'm gonna be charmed again by you.
It's almost like once Indiana Jones shows up, she loses her strength.
I'm a strong woman, but Indiana Jones has too much testosterone for it to be handled.
Yeah, and then she just kind of reduced to the screaming damsel in distress, and it gets a little annoying. I also think that they set up that she's good at, you know, drinking people under the table, and then later there's a scene when she's trying to do that, but she fails immediately.
Oh, but because the French guy said that he grew up with that stuff, so he knew that her move was to outdrink people, so he chose a drink that he could not be outdrinked.
But it's like you're not following the rule of three, right? You're setting it up and then immediately subvert it. Now, you don't do that. You first have to confirm that she can use that as her weapon, right? And that never happens in the movie. And just to be clear, she doesn't fail with her drinking thing because Belloc is good at drinking himself. Even though that is kind of set up, that he says, oh, this is my family label. He would let her go in that scene. It's just, you know, Laffy Nazi is coming in. Do you also feel that this is a very simple movie? Like, I'm not saying it's bad or anything. It's very competently made, but the movie itself is like super simple. It doesn't have a special message. It's just an action movie.
Well,
right?
The message is Nazis are bad.
Well, if in theory you could argue that that's the message, yeah. But to me it's a lot like Back to the Future. Back to the Future is a very good and very competent movie that tells a simple, fun story, and it doesn't do anything spectacular.
The message of Back to the Future is believe in yourself.
It's not a particularly complicated or deep movie. It's just like super simple and it accomplishes what it does. This is just an action movie with really cool visuals and style and stunts and all of those things.
And Harrison Ford.
And a very cool Harrison Ford. But other than that, I feel like even though I really enjoy Indiana Jones as a franchise, you know, like you just you have to be into it to enjoy it, and it's not essential watching or whatever. It has that really cool vibe to it, you know, that like globe-trotting thing and all that. But you know, there's no themes here that are important or anything.
Another thing that is cool about the movie is that anytime they travel, you see it on the map, and you see like the tiny line going from place to place. It's amazing. I really like that.
It is nice, and it's iconic as well. And, whenever someone does something like that now, it's considered a reference to Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones, like Star Wars, was the kind of thing that George Lucas wrote in reference or as an homage to kind of like a, I don't know, 50s thing that he remembered, like sort of 50s TV, I guess. And so it's not crazy to think that a lot of the stylistic choices in this are based on things that, he just saw on TV as a kid. And so, like, it's well possible that the map and the line weren't really their idea, nor do I think the whole like outfit, like Indiana Jones, leather jacket, hat, whip, like that looks like Zorro to me. So it's that kind of thing. It's got all of those elements. So I feel like that's
looks like Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah, but that's later, isn't it?
Probably.
So like to be fair, it's not really all that inventive. It just works with all the elements in place.
But our opinion is positive.
I would say so. And now we have 2 questions. We'll go through them in sequence, and we will ask and answer this question for each movie that we watch on this podcast. And the questions are, what do you love about this, and what do you hate about this movie? And you always have to find something. So, what do you love about Raiders of the Lost Ark?
I love that there is a monkey in it. The monkey makes very nice noises.
Excellent.
It's very, very fluffy, and it has a nice tail. And I like monkeys.
Very good. I actually think that just generally the style of this movie is great. Like both in terms of, like the look of it, the very iconic look of Indiana Jones, the hat that they had to custom make so that the brim on the side is less wide, because if you film someone with a hat on, you almost always have a lot of shade in your face or the brim in your face. So they had to get like a hat that is a little bit more narrow on the sides. It's just it just looks great and it's iconic. And I think the cinematography in this is pretty good too. Like there's just little flourishes, like a lot of things where Indiana Jones just appears as a silhouette and things like that, where they also have several instances where they focus on one of his eyes. And maybe it's like a foreshadowing of the end of the movie where it's all about not looking at something. Like it's just like it's a little bit more than just, we filmed a truck car chase or whatever,
But I really like how it kicks people out of the trucks.
You're a big fan of people getting kicked out of trucks?
Yeah, I like it. It just swings inside and then floop, it kicks the people out and then he's driving the truck.
And, like that stunt, especially the one where they go under the truck, is like kind of a world famous one.
I like the one when he kicks.
I understand, but he first has to go under the truck and then back up and then around and then kick. So this is all set up for a kick.
Okay. It's a long setup for a short kick.
Yes. What do you hate about this movie?
So I hate 3 things about this movie.
Jesus.
And I'm going to go from the least hateful to the most hateful. So I don't like that in the Cairo basket scene, at some point Marion is just randomly hitting people with her bag, but in a very goofy way, and it seems like she's waving at flies.
Yes, like some of the action wasn't choreographed, so presumably they told the actress, you're just in the background, just hit someone, and she doesn't know what to do, and you can clearly tell.
And I look at the background, guys.
Yes.
I got you.
The background check.
Okay, the second thing I hate is the creepy Nazi that feels that he has to laugh at random times, and he's a very unsettling laugh.
That guy was having a great time every time he was on set. He was just... he was kind of like a Joker Nazi.
Yeah, and he has also very weird lips, and the fact that he laughs with his lips, it's even more unsettling.
Do you know people that don't laugh with their lips?
Well, not with that lips.
Unless they're wearing this guy's face.
And the most awful thing that is in this movie is the sand. There is sand everywhere. It's a desert, I know, but the sand is very blah.
Would you have preferred this to be set on the forest moon of Endor or something like that?
Yes, with Ewoks.
No, that's not the point. If the Ewoks were in the Sahara Desert, you wouldn't be happy either, would you?
Ewoks don't live in the desert, as we can see. There are the other creatures in the desert, the ones that then Anakin is gonna kill them all, even the women and children, because they have sand.
Okay, I feel like we got a little bit sidetracked here.
So
here's
they have the sand. They have to uncover a slate full of sand, and they have to do it with their hands. And the hands are all sandy, and they wear sandals in the sand, and everything is just gonna be so leathery after this.
Wow, like considering the scary things that are in this movie, it's weird that that's what you're like most terrified of. Are you also aware that the people, the Nazis, at least kind of it's implied that when they look at the stuff that's in the Ark, they themselves turn into sand?
No, because I wasn't looking.
Okay, because when they open the Ark, they see that there's only sand in it. And then everything gets kind of sucked into it.
See, sand is awful and it's evil because all the evil people are turned into sand.
Sands are just as bad as Nazis. Okay. Here's something that I really don't like about this movie. And we watched the movie together, so you heard me complain about it as it happened. At the beginning of the movie, there is a scene in a lecture hall where Indiana Jones just kind of gives a bunch of exposition to the CIA guys. It explains all the stuff about the Ark of the Covenant. And it's in and of itself, just by design already, a pretty boring scene. But Harrison Ford's delivery is so stiff and terrible and almost out of character. It's like he's reading from a script, that I have the suspicion that was like his first day on set or something like that. Because it is atrocious. What?
Please, Harrison, email us if we are correct.
Do we have an email address?
Yeah, you can find it on the show notes.
That don't exist?
They're on the website.
That doesn't exist?
Yet.
So yeah, I think we should probably quickly go to our sponsor. Do we have a sponsor?
Yes, it's Postmates.
No.
But you get your own scale. It's free.
Yeah, sure, but they're not sponsoring us.
But please go to Postmates.
No, don't. What's the point of going, do what you want? Also, if it was an ad, actually, do what you want anyway, but...
And get your own scale delivered to your door so you can weigh your own mail.
Don't you need a code or something like that to get the free scale?
I don't know, because Postmates is only a US service and we live in Switzerland.
So, sponsor us Postmates and explain to us how it works.
Yeah, but don't send us a scale because we are not gonna use it.
Let's abort this advertising segment and come back to the end of the show.
MeUndies.
No. So, the final question I have about Raiders of the Lost Ark that only you get to answer is, should this movie remain in the collection or should it be destroyed?
As much as I would like to use my power of destruction, I think that this movie should remain in the collection because it's a nice movie. It has a nice soundtrack, it has a nice main character, and I also fear there's gonna be very worse movies in the collection, and I would have to save some of them. So let's have Indiana Jones to keep them company.
All right, so that's 1 point for Indiana Jones. And we'll be back with another much worse movie next time.
We're not gonna watch Temple of Doom because...
well, not next time anyway.
Because there are far worse movies, and so we need to intertwine the shitty movies with other movies that are actually watchable.
Plus, to be fair, this is not an Indiana Jones podcast, so, you don't want to have the first 3 episodes just be Indiana Jones.
But contact us on social media if you want to actually be an Indiana Jones podcast, and our handles will be in the show notes.
I cannot guarantee that any of this is true.
MeUndies.